Hey, this is Rick Kaselj from exercisesforinjuries.com. Today I wanted to go through my top 3 hamstring stretches. So the last couple days and week I've been talking a lot about hamstring injury recovery. If you've been on the blog exercisesforinjuries.com, you might have done the 7-question quiz on hamstring injury recovery. If you haven't, head on over there, take the quiz, and then you can watch the video where I go through the answers and explain the questions and answers in more detail. Also, another post that's up that's got a lot of discussion, a lot of feedback on is the toe touching exercise good for your back? And definitely head over there, take a look at what my opinion is, and take a look at what everyone's responses are, and I will respond back to everyone pretty soon, and I'll probably go through it in a video explaining things a little bit more. But with this video, I wanted to go through my top 3 hamstring stretches. And the reason why I want to go through these are a couple-fold. If you end up having a hamstring injury, and if you've been reading my emails, I shared a story about my brother and how we were down in California and we were at the NCAA Boys Western Regional Tournament, and I saw him constantly stretching out his hamstring, and I asked him what was up and what was going on. And after looking at the straight leg hamstring stretch that he ended up doing, I kind of gave him some ideas on how he can tweak things and make his hamstring stretch a little bit more effective. And I'll show you those in this video. And I'll kind of show you the 3 exercises, the 3 hamstring stretching exercises that I like. So if you end up having a hamstring injury, or if you have a client that has a hamstring injury, stretching ends up being an important part of it. But what's more important than the stretching and the strengthening of the hamstring injury is working on agility and on core stability. So make sure you have those 2 components in your hamstring injury recovery program. Now, the other reason why it ends up being important is when it relates to back pain. So if for people that end up having back pain or tight hamstrings, it ends up increasing their risk of back pain or back pain flare-up. Oh yeah, enough chatting. Let me go through the 3 stretches that I end up liking the most. And I'll kind of chat about them as I end up going through them. Now, the one that I like doing, and my brother was doing this one in California, was like a straight leg hamstring stretch. So you're in a standing position. All my weight is on one leg, evenly weighted. The knee is soft, so it's not completely locked out. Other leg is straight. The ankle joint is at neutral. I can have the toes up. The leg ends up being in a straight position. I've got my hand on something in order to eliminate balance, because I'm not worrying about balance. I'm trying to isolate for that hamstring stretch. I'm tightening up the abdominal area. I'm hinging at the hips, moving the upper body as one unit until I reach a point where I end up feeling that hamstring muscle end up lengthening out. I'm going to hold that position. And what I end up doing when it comes to my stretching is I like 20 seconds, 2 times on each side. So light stretch, holding for 20 seconds, and looking for a light stretch. So with that one, what I've ended up doing is, looking at things is the upper body ends up being fixed and I'm moving the lower body. That kind of ends up leading into the next one that that I like doing when it comes to hamstring stretches, where the lower body ends up staying fixed and the upper body ends up moving. So another way of thinking about it is, with this first stretch, when I move, I end up working a little bit more on the lower part of the hamstring. So more, distal or around the knee. And with this second one, where it's like a hip hinging and bending through the hips, I end up working more upper hamstring. So if I'm in a nice upper body, upright position, legs are about hip width apart, I'm tightening the abdominal area, I'm bending through until I feel a point where I end up having tightness. And the stretch will end up feeling differently because it'll be more upper hamstring. Now, I don't have to be in a standing position. I can end up moving close to something, so like a wall or a beam, and then I can end up going through that as well, bending through to the point where I end up having tightness or feeling that stretch. I can rest my hands on the railing in order to kind of control that stretch. Tight through the abdominal area, nice upright posture, hinging through the hips. Lower body ends up staying the same. The things I'm really watching for is I'm trying to keep those knees neutral and trying not to hyperextend them. Now, the third one that I really like doing is I start ending up changing that knee angle. So as opposed to the knee being 0 degrees or completely straight, I start wanting to bend that knee. And I end up calling this like a deadlift hamstring stretch. So I'm bending at the knees, and now I'm hinging at the hips and moving down and stretching out the hamstring. So let me go through it again. Feet are about hip width apart. I can tighten up my abdominal area. I'm bending through the knees. I'm keeping that upper body in a straight line. I'm going to hinge at the hips, and it's almost like a deadlift hamstring stretch. And with that one, I feel the stretch more in the middle part of the hamstring. And I can rest my hands on my knees in order to kind of control the stretch. And once again, I can end up utilizing like a wall or something, going to the point where I have that light stretch, resting on the wall or kind of that beam. So there you go. Those end up being the 3 different hamstring stretches that I end up going through. And you can see I didn't do any lying down ones, because what I find is it's kind of more effective to give variations when it comes to the hamstring stretch, that they can be incorporated wherever you are and whatever you're doing. So anyone can do it. You can take a break and do them, get up from your chair and do the stretch, or quickly get up and do the stretch. You don't need to lie down on the floor, so they can end up being done anywhere. So there you go. Give those a go. Look at the cueing that I kind of went through. Give all 3 of them a go. See how they feel differently on you, and see how different parts of your hamstring end up being focused in on with the hamstring stretch. So this is Rick Kaselj from exercisesforinjuries.com. Make sure to swing by the blog, take a look at that 7-question quiz on hamstring injury recovery. Also take a look at that post where I talked about, is the toe touching exercise good for your back? And if you're looking for a program to help you recover from a hamstring injury, take a look at hamstringinjurysolution.com. So this is Rick Kaselj from exercisesforinjuries.com and hamstringinjurysolution.com saying take care and bye-bye.